In his book, How to Get Rich, Felix Dennis offers a series of concepts that he experienced and noticed in his quest for wealth. The fortune of Felix Dennis at his death was estimated at $700 million, so all his advice is valuable for your quest to get rich. There are about 30 important points presented in the book that you should remember. Sit tight because it may change your life. The first concept. Money is power. Felix said, I cannot make you happy. I cannot make you healthy. But I'm pretty certain I can improve your chances of becoming rich, which, in turn, will improve your sex life. People who grow rich almost always improve their sex life. More people want to have sex with them. That's just the way human beings work. Money is power. Power is an aphrodisiac. It even says so in the Bible. Money did not make me happy, but it quite definitely improved my sex life. Execution is better than ideas. The follow-through, the execution, is 1,000 times more important than a great idea. In fact, if the execution is perfect, it sometimes barely matters what the idea is. If you want to get rich, don't sit around waiting for inspiration to strike. Just get busy getting rich. The perfect idea doesn't exist. You never have a single great idea in your life, but become skilled in executing the great ideas of others. You can succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Seek them out and make them work. They do not have to be your ideas. Execution is all in this regard. Ideas don't make you rich. The correct execution of ideas does. What is rich enough? Rich enough to buy a massive yacht? I don't advise it, though, and sail away into the sunset like the owl and the for years on end. That's the real rich. Rich enough to live where you want, to go where you want, to do what you want, to meet who you want. Rich enough to buy the only two things apart from health and love worth fussing about in life: time, and the option of not having to be in any particular place on any particular day doing any particular thing in order to pay the rent or the mortgage. This is rich. Never trust conventional wisdom. Never trust the vast mountain of conventional wisdom. It contains great nuggets of wisdom, it is true, but they lie alongside rivers of fool's gold. Conventional wisdom daunts initiative and offers far too many convenient reasons for inaction, especially for those with a great deal to lose. Tip: to choose a business partner. My earnest advice is to get yourself a young and fearless partner with tons of stamina. Choose him or her with care. It's your best chance to get rich. Build a strong carapace. You wish to be rich, you must grow a carapace. A mental armor. Not so thick as to blind you to well-constructed criticism and advice, especially from those you trust, nor so thick as to cut you off from friends and family, but thick enough to shrug off the inevitable sniggering and malicious mockery that will follow your inevitable failures. Not to mention the poorly hidden envy that will accompany your eventual success. But sniggering and mockery prior to any attempt to better yourself financially, followed by envy later, or gloating during your initial failures, these are three certainties in life. It hurts, it's mindless, and it doesn't mean anything. But it will happen. Be prepared to shrug it off. The native success mantra. If you are unwilling to fail, sometimes publicly, and even catastrophically, you stand very little chance of ever getting rich. You care what the neighbors think, you will never get rich. You cannot bear the thought of causing worry to your family, spouse, or lover while you plow a lonely, dangerous road rather than taking the safe option of a regular job. You will never get rich. You have artistic inclinations and fear that the search for wealth will coarsen such talents or degrade them. You will never get rich. Because your fear, in this instance, is well justified. You are not prepared to work longer hours than almost anyone you know. Despite the jibes of colleagues and friends, you are unlikely to get rich. You cannot convince yourself that you are good enough to be rich. You will never get rich. You cannot treat your quest to get rich as a game. You will never be rich. You cannot face up to your fear of failure. You will never be rich. The search. This is the stage that everyone in entrepreneurship starts. There are usually 3 factors involved in the search: inclination, aptitude, and fate, an understanding and passionate affinity with any subject, in combination with effective management, sales, and marketing techniques, could well provide a tailor-made solution to the search. Inclinations are easy to list. Aptitude is far less so. Trial and error, combined with fierce determination and a willingness to discard cherished perceptions about ourselves, is the best that I can suggest. It is the instinct to seize an opportunity when it presents itself that perhaps sets apart the self-made filthy rich from the comfortably poor. The willingness to ignore conventional wisdom and risk everything on what others consider to be folly. Obtaining capital. Everyone has to do it, and everyone hates it. For a self-made man or woman, there is no avoiding it. Beware of anyone who tells you that there are shortcuts to obtaining even a small amount of capital. Outside of family and friends, there are none that I ever heard of. Look on the bright side. Those lazy bastards who turn away from this odious ask are going to be your employees. They are going to make you rich. You cannot bear the thought of prostrating yourself to obtain the seed corn. Then you will almost certainly never own the farm. Never give in. That was the secret ingredient. I would not be a wage slave. I would not take no for an answer. I would not give in. I was going to be rich. Somehow, some way, someday soon. And I would not retreat to the safety of a decent job until I was starved out of house and home. The 5 most common startup errors. The first one is mistaking desire for compulsion. The assumption is the mother of all failure. Over-optimism concerning cash flow. You can delegate many tasks when creating a new business, but monitoring and forecasting cash flow is not one of them. It's your responsibility and your task. Nobody else's. Keep payroll down to an absolute minimum. Overhead walks onto legs. Pay yourself just enough to eat. Issuing starved credit cards, company mobile phones, or cars is the road to ruin. A vase of beautiful flowers in reception every week creates a better impression than £100,000 worth of fancy Italian furniture. Always meet payroll, even at the expense of starving yourself that week. Reinforcing failure, thinking small and acting big. Just because you have a success or 2 under your belt doesn't mean you have it made. Success is never permanent. Failure is never fatal. The only thing that really counts is to never, never, never give up. Every day you have to hit the ground running, putting in more hours than even your most dedicated member of staff. Skimping on talent. Talented people want a good salary, of course, but surprisingly often they are more attracted to new opportunities and challenges. You must identify talent. Then you must move heaven and earth to hire it. You must nurture it, reward its property, and protect it from being poached. If necessary, dream up a new project. Better still, get the talent to dream it up. Just remember the simple rules concerning talent. Identify it, hire it, nurture it, reward it, and protect it. And when the time comes, fire it. If you can do all these things with talent in the context of building your own company, I would be truly astonished if you did not become rich. Self-belief is a priceless asset. We may detest arrogance, yet isn't it true that we admire it a little, too? Even though arrogance is a poor, shabby thing compared with rooted self-belief. It is an imitation of the real thing, single-handedly. Individuals with ingrained self-belief and, usually, a dollop of arrogance have changed the destiny of nations. Without self-belief, nothing can be accomplished. With it, nothing is impossible. You can't get rich painting by numbers. You can only do it by becoming a predator, by waiting patiently, by remaining alert and constantly sniffing the air, and by bringing massive, murderous force to bear upon your prey when you pounce. But if you want to get rich, trust your own judgment when it calls and leave those whose job it is to manage your business to pick up the pieces. They can have the scraggy bits. Make more baskets. Diversify. If you have a successful monthly magazine, for instance, and then launch a weekly in the same category, you will inevitably weaken sales of your original tie. This will follow as surely as night follows day. So should you launch the weekly magazine? Yes. 1,000 times yes. Why? Because if you do not launch the weekly edition, even though you know it is a good idea, then your rivals will do it for you. You will then be left with a damaged monthly and no weekly. This is called the barbarians at the gate principle. You can't. Richard Branson has done it. Some of his Virgin enterprises are not as strong as others. Did you ever try Virgin Cola? But that's not the point. Western capitalism will have to sink into an ocean of darkness before all of Richard's Virgin businesses go broke. He has built scores of baskets, ranging from financial services to airlines, from music superstores to railway passenger services. He's a canny man. I know from experience. Just remember that this advice is not designed for your startup phase. During the startup, you concentrate on that one basket as if your life and the life of your firstborn depends upon it. But once you have something that's working and making some money, start looking around quickly for another opportunity. The more baskets, the better. 5 important business lessons. Lesson No. 1. Never make your finance director or CFO the MD or president of anything. Lesson No. 2. Never go on vacation when a deal is going down. Lesson No. 3. When you change accounting systems or accountants, for that matter, have the numbers checked over and over again. I'll eat my hat if errors are not discovered in the next iteration. Lesson No. 4. Never personally underwrite business loans for your company unless you absolutely, positively, are forced to. Even then, set limits in the agreement so that, as the loan figure is reduced over time, you are released from your undertakings commensurately. Lesson 5. Listen to people who are good with money and always invest in property with a good address, provided you can pay cash for it and will not need to sell it for a few years. Few words about luck. To become rich, you must behave as a predator. I will go further. You must become a predator. A guy named Albert was probably one of the most unlucky guys I know in business. Albert is not a predator. By moving so adroitly and so swiftly from one thing to the next, Albert does not place himself in the way of luck. He does not draw luck to him. He does not make his own luck. He is much too much in love with the green grass just over the next hill. So while he is clever enough to want to minimize his risk by switching to yet another new and uncontested marketplace, he leads himself into uncertainty and into error. They don't love him because they do not get the chance to grow. And if there is one good thing about a well-managed company in a capitalist society, it is the opportunity to groom talent and encourage it to grow. Apart from the money, it's the best thing about getting rich. He keeps looking for pastures new, the golden sunlit uplands, the philosopher Leibniz's best of all possible worlds. Perhaps there, in a new place, he will find his fortune and change his luck. Instead, He immediately encounters the evils of an unfamiliar and perilous country, without the benefit of the road maps he so painstakingly put together in his last adventure. He does not keep on trucking as the cartoonist, Robert Crumb, would have it. So while he is clever enough to want to minimize his risk by switching to yet another new and uncontested marketplace, he leads himself into uncertainty and into error. They don't love him because they do not get the chance to grow. And if there is one good thing about a well-managed company in a capitalist society, it is the opportunity to groom talent and encourage it to grow. Apart from the money, it's the best thing about getting rich. If you constantly switch industries looking for better luck, will never be with you. 15 key points to get rich that you must follow. Prepare yourself for luck, but don't seek her out. Let her come to you. Make your own luck. Don't whine or ever describe yourself as unlucky. You're alive, aren't you? Be bold. Be brave. Don't thank your lucky stars. The stars can't hear you. Stay the course. Stop looking for the green grass over the hill. Don't try to do it all yourself. Delegate and teach others to delegate. Remember that most predators are lucky most of their lives. Unlike their prey, whiners and cowards die 100 times a day. Be a hero to yourself. If being a hero isn't your style, then fake it. Reality will catch up eventually. Just do it. It is much easier to apologize than to obtain permission. Never take the quest for wealth seriously. It's just a game, chum. Next time you bump into Lady Luck, give her a whack on the rump from me. Be lucky, get rich, then give it all away. We'll get to that bit later. Don't call your son Albert. Just joking. This next concept is the art of negotiating. Most of us are rather poor negotiators. Most negotiations are unnecessary. The other side one is often just as smart or stupid as you are. In the end, the balance of weakness almost always decides the issue. In greed versus need, the former usually win. If you are a poor negotiator, like me, then set a limit on what you will pay or accept and on any conditions attached. Do not deviate. Your first thought is your best thought. Never fall in love with the deal. A deal is just a deal. There will always be other deals and other opportunities. Take no notice of management manuals that tell you to leave passion and emotion out of the negotiating room. If you are emotional or passionate about something, then let it show. But leaven emotion with courtesy and, if possible, with wit. If you're not the witty type, then flattery and self-deprecation are good substitutes. Listen when engaged in serious negotiations. Then listen some more. You are in no hurry. Nobody ever got poor listening. Also, use silence as a weapon. Silences are disconcerting. People tend to fill silences with jabber, often weakening their bargaining position as they do so. Choose a rogue element to your advantage and bring it into the negotiation at a late stage. You'll be amazed at how often this tactic produces results. The British created the largest geophysical empire in the world with one tactic. Divide and rule. Always works. It never fails if you can get to exploit it. Get to know the other side. There may be slight differences in the individual approaches of their senior managers and, possibly, in their goals. Drive a wedge and keep hammering. Permit no such weaknesses in your own camp. I have often banned senior executives from taking part in negotiations simply to avoid the strap. Better you are in there on your own, outgunned, outflanked, and outmaneuvered, than to have 2 or 3 of you silently squabbling. Everyone thinks they are great negotiators, but most of us simply are not. If it's your company, then, for better or worse, you are the final arbiter. That remains true whether you are a good negotiator or a had one. You suspect you perform badly on such occasions, do not attend, even if you are the 100% owner. Bet someone else to do it after setting out your response to every conceivable option that might arise. This tactic can be devastating to the other side, and Bob, and I have used it on many occasions in the past. You have to completely trust your nominee, though. Above all, establish where the balance of weakness lies in any serious negotiation. Most strengths are self-evident, especially strengths like cash and infrastructure. Weaknesses are usually hidden. Ferret them out, hold them up to the fight, and make a battle plan. Whatever you agree to during a negotiation, fulfill the bargain. Nobody wants to do business with a weasel or a chiller. Written in the Zoroastrian scriptures 2,500 years ago was this: never break a covenant, whether you make it with a false man or a just man of good conscience. The covenant holds for both the false and the just alike. Most people seek job security, job satisfaction, and power over others far more than they seek wealth. And thank goodness for that. All the great managers in the world were dead set on becoming rich, and willing to take the necessary risks to do so. There would be little hope for the likes of you and me. If you would negotiate with any man, you must either know his nature and fashions, and so lead him, or his ends, and so persuade him, or his weakness or disadvantages, and so awe him, or those that have an interest in him, and so govern him. In dealing with cunning persons, we must ever consider their ends to interpret their speeches. And it is good to say little to them, and that which they least look for. In all negotiations of difficulty, a man may not take to sow and reap at once, but must prepare business, and so ripen it by degrees. The next important concept: ownership, ownership, ownership. To become rich, you must be an owner. And you must try to own it all. You must strive with every fiber of your being, while recognizing the idiocy of your behavior, to own and retain control of as near to 100% of any company as you can. If that is not possible, in a public company, for example, then you must be prepared to make yourself hated by those around you who are also trying to be rich. That is the dirty, rotten little secret of it all, my friend. Just like Gollum, it is your precious, and they are all filthy little thieves. To become rich, every single percentage point of anything you own is crucial. It is worth fighting for, tooth and claw. It is worth suing for. It is worth shouting and banging on the table for. It is worth begging for and groveling for. It is worth lying and cheating for. In extremis, it is even worth negotiating for. Never, 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 never hand over a single share of anything you have acquired or created if you can help it. Nothing. Not one share. To no one. No matter what the reason, unless you genuinely have to. I reward senior managers with bloody huge bonuses based on performance and results. Millions of dollars have been paid out in such bonuses over the years, but I will not give them a share. Not one. Not for love, nor for loyalty. Not to be fair. Because capitalism isn't fair. Life isn't fair. The lottery of what genes we are born with isn't fair. The moon and the stars and the gas clouds of Alpha Centauri aren't fair. Ownership is not the most important thing. I.e. is the only thing that counts if you want to be rich. My view on partnerships. Partners are a wonderful thing, but they are not a marriage except for convenience. Ideally, you should keep something of your own to fall back on. But if you want to be rich and you are forced to take minority shareholders on board, then I guarantee that, sooner or later, you will waste weeks or even months in the attempt to obtain a mutual agreement. It is unavoidable, in summary, unless you already own a successful business outright. Then I do not recommend you enter into a partnership of any kind if you can avoid it. It's time-consuming and distracting. You have any choice, whatever in the matter, walk your narrow, lonely road to riches all on your little lonesome. As I mentioned before, it's a nasty, lonely business getting rich. The joys of delegation, especially in the early days of your company, delegation and promotion are among your most powerful weapons to get rich. Men and women with spirit will be prepared to leave safe, comfortable jobs and work for you, providing the atmosphere of the new operation is loaded with optimism, adventure, the sweet scent of delegation, and the promise of promotion. Not everyone works to get rich. In fact, most people do not. But almost everyone wishes to be respected. With promotion comes respect. And with delegation comes promotion. If your company is young and a bit rickety, meritocracy, delegation, and promotion are the bricks and mortar that will make it stronger. I only started to get rich when I began to delegate and ease up on my work schedule. How exactly this occurred, I'm not certain. Selecting good people has never been a problem for me, yes. I know everyone thinks that, but I have a pretty good track record to back it up. By making myself the chairman of all my companies, I can choose to attend or not attend senior management or board meetings as it suits me. On average, I will attend 4 to 6 such meetings a year for each company. The chair is usually taken in my absence by the MD, the president, or the CEO. Verbatim minutes are taken. I do read all the minutes of these meetings very carefully, and I can get a mic cross if die is not produced promptly and accurately. For me, they are not a memorandum of past events. They are a tool for understanding current positions. If you want to get rich, then learn to delegate. Don't learn to pretend to delegate. Delegation is not only a powerful tool, it is the only way to maximize and truly incentive your most precious asset, the people who work for you. Vetoes for future executive that need to be agreed before they join. Without my express permission, they may not vote for anyone on or off the board. They may not physically move the headquarters of the company. They may not dispose of or shut down any substantial asset. They may not purchase or launch any substantial new product or business. They may not award themselves bonuses or salary increases. Absentee landlords never prosper. I am not absent, but I am not exactly toiling with the troops side by side, every minute of every day. My days of toiling in those particular mines are well and truly over. Competition is king. Competition is the heart, soul, liver, lungs, and kidney of the beast we call Western capitalism. How you react to it, how you face up to it, defines whether you can stay rich, and probably whether you can get rich at all. I'm a fighter. My natural reaction to provocation in business, as in life, is to attack. But this basic instinct has led me astray many times, and I have learned to think a little more carefully before tearing into the enemy with fangs bare. Let's take an example. My advice on competition is always to ensure that you want to fight, and ought to fight on a larger competitor's ground. If he is anxious to buy you, determined to park his tanks on your lawn, maybe you should let him. For the right price. If your competitor is smaller, try to hire him more, buy him more, join with him. If he won't budge, take drastic action and smash him. If that won't work, then learn to be friends and collude against the woolly mammoths together. But don't fight tigers, my friend. Not if you want to get rich. 21 ways to make more PI. Make annual bonuses generous. You want your managers to concentrate on improving margin and profitability while growing the business. Then they have to feel the light is worth the candle. Ring-fence investment costs from ongoing business. You want the business to grow, but you also want to make profits. Balance is the key. By ring-fencing all investment money for new projects and growth in your annual accounts, You can encourage managers to work on margin and profit from their ongoing parts of the business, while offering them the chance to grow and take some risk. Keep costs down. Always. Overhead walks onto legs and will eat you out of house and home. No company, new or old, can avoid stealth growth in overhead. Never delegate bonus arrangements. At senior level, insist on collective responsibility for bonuses. Part of the annual incentive bonus for senior managers should result from their combined efforts to bring home the bacon. One cannot make a senior manager's whole bonus rest on this edifice. Praise excellent work, but do not waste your praise on ho-hum performances as a sop. Employees respect a boss who knows the difference between the mundane and the exceptional. Remember that not all employees respond well to incentive bonuses or a dangled carrot of any kind. They seek recognition, not bribery. Fire malingerers, incompetents, toads, and glory hounds mercilessly. Not only does firing them make you feel better and contribute to a more pleasant working atmosphere, it cheers up the whole staff. Turn a cold eye on company perks. These can add up to huge sums. Avoid all jollies, the generic British term for flying the sales team to Florida in winter to boost morale and issue tub-thumping speeches, all of which are forgotten the second the crew hit the beach. Offer legal perks that you have paid for yourself to employees. This sounds crazy, but it works. I allow my employees, for example, the use of my Rolls-Royces or Bentleys for their weddings. I permit them to stay at my homes around the world if they have performed well. I send every child born to an employee well. I used to in the early days. There are too many of them now, a massive soft toy. Such perks are legal because I paid for them myself from after-tax dollars or pounds. Set an example. If, as an owner, you want fancy furniture in your office or works of art or Persian rugs, then bloody well pay for them yourself. Encourage senior managers to go over annual results with you one-on-one. You will learn more from off-the-cuff remarks and opinions expressed at one-on-one meetings while looking over financial results than you will in a dozen board meetings. This tactic never fails to produce food for thought, often on both sides. Back up your managers. With delegation comes responsibility. Back up your managers, in public, whenever and wherever you have to. They do not perform. Speak seriously in private to them. If they still do not perform, fire them. But do not undercut them or engage in meetings that appear to undercut them. Search out and promote talent. Talent comes in all shapes and sizes and is often inarticulate and shy. Talent isn't necessarily the woman in the Calvin Klein shoe who talks the talk and bamboozles meetings with stunning graphics on her PowerPoint presentation. Talent is often to be found dressed in t-shirts down in the lower reaches of your organization. Interview your rival's talent. I have never known a single person in a rival organization, however well paid or cosseted, who has refused to meet me for a quiet drink after work. I have discovered more about what my rivals are up to in this manner than any other. Discourage secrecy. The more you take middle and senior managers into your confidence, the more they will respect you and the harder they will work for you. Save a little bit of pie for suppliers. Save a little of the annual pie to wine and dine key suppliers, or let them wine and dine you. You like them enough, invite them to your home. We all remember to call often upon our major customers, but it is worth remembering suppliers. And they often have important market information. Never badmouth rivals. It's a sign of stupidity and weakness. I try to go out of my way to praise my rivals when I can. Often enough they deserve praise and they are sure to learn about my comments sooner or later. Sell early. Real money rarely comes from horsing around running asset-laden business if you are an entrepreneur. You are not a manager, remember. You are trying to get rich. Whenever the chance comes to sell an asset at the top of its value, do so. Things do not keep increasing in value forever. Bet out while the going is good and move on to the next venture. More money is usually lost holding onto an asset than is made waiting for the zenith of its value. Enjoy the business of making money. The loot is only a marker. Time cannot be recaptured. There is no amount of pie in the world worth being miserable for, day after day. You find you dislike what you are doing, then sell up and change your life. Self-imposed misery is a kind of madness. The cure is to get out. Never miss an opportunity to promote your asset. The next concept. The insane power of focus. I became a magazine publisher. That was okay, but I forgot to keep my eye on the ball. The ball was to get rich. Instead, I decided to become one of the world's best magazine publishers. Not smart. Why wasn't it smart? It took me way too long, for one thing, and it cut me off from more lucrative endeavors for another. I became a multi-millionaire in 1982. By then I was 35 years old. By 35 was already half dead. With my talents, I could have been a multi-millionaire by the time I was 25 or 28. All that was stopping me was my conviction that I was a born magazine publisher. How stupid. I wasted 8 or 9 years when I could have been drinking Petrus, swilling down Retsina and lager instead. The truth is I led myself to believe I had fallen in love with publishing. That wasn't a tragedy in itself, but I allowed my liking for the magazine publishing business to bunker me from so many other avenues where I could have coined cash. Being clever means nothing. Do I strike you as a particularly clever person? Right. I'm not a clever person, and I have just enough wit to know it. I never attended university and was tossed out of my school before I had graduated. To use the American expression, you do not need to be clever. You do not even need to be that adept. You need only a little cunning and massive determination to become rich. Next concept. How to choose human capital. Never choose an important employee or a key supplier alone. Go further than reading a person's references. It's such a fag, such a bloody nuisance, such a pain in the neck to go well beyond the references and CV you've received, isn't it? And yet it pays. Make an appointment with a potential employee's last company or with a supplier's other customers. Go and see someone there. Make nicey. Listen hard. You will discover more about your potential employee or supplier in a few minutes in this way than in hours of conversation with them. You can even tell the prospective employee or supplier you have done so if you wish. It cuts bullshit down to a minimum. And it shows, at the same time, that you cared enough to go beyond a CV and the usual references. Make notes. Speak little. I'm terrible at this. Absolutely terrible. But I've learned to try harder as the years have gone by. Your notes need not refer in any way to what the potential employee or supplier is saying. It can be gibberish. Or it can, more usefully, be your impressions of the person and their responses. Have a series of questions handy to shoot out when they grind to a halt. Then focus like mad on what your instinct and your intuition is telling you as well as your ears. As to speaking little yourself, remember you are being interviewed, too. Good suppliers respect the attention to detail. Don't hesitate to challenge quotes or invoices after you have done your homework. At the beginning of a relationship, everything will usually be hunky-dory. Later, hidden or unacceptable costs may creep in. Challenge them. Constantly request quotes from your supplier's rivals. Demand refins if a supplier screws up, based not on the cost of the goods or services, but the financial consequences of the screw-up. I've read acres of new age rubbish about partnerships between suppliers and customers. That's what it is. Rubbish. If I could only get rich by bankrupting every supplier I ever dealt with, then I would do it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't feel good about doing it, but I do it. Getting rich isn't about vendor-customer partnerships. Pay employees well. Bonus better. Even young children know what you get when you pay for peanuts. Monkeys. Your company's salaries must be competitive. Bonuses should be more than competitive. They should be tempting, generous, and based ruthlessly on meritocracy and delivery. That's the way to get employees to really focus. You don't want people to apply to work for you because of the salaries on offer. They should be driven by other desires. But if a salary isn't commensurate with the market, potential winners will not be able to afford to work for you. I made that error for some years before changing my ways. Be alert for crossovers. Many times I have been interviewing someone for a job and realized that they are not suitable for the job in question. However, the candidate would be perfect in another position in my company. Never mind that that position is currently filled. All positions in your company, except your own, are temporary. These crossovers occur often. Be alert for them. Nothing pleases a candidate who has failed to get a particular job more than being contacted sometime later and offered a job out of the blue. It is like a vindication, and they will almost certainly say yes if the job title and money match or exceed their current position. Only hire winners. There may or may not be such a thing as bad luck. But whether it exists or not, it is certainly contagious. Hire winners or people you believe will become winners. Fire whiners and moaners swiftly. That's contagious, too. You are trying to create an environment where making money is on everyone's mind most of the time. Losers and whiners usually have other priorities. Ignore your prejudices, likes, and dislikes. Easy to say and hard to do. Legally, you may not permit certain prejudices to color your choice regarding any candidate. This is not only good law, it's good sense. Some of the most successful colleagues and employees who have worked with me and for me over the years were not my personal cup of tea at the beginning. Likes and dislikes should not come into it. Loyalty, effectiveness, honesty, integrity, and stamina are crucial. Cleverness and cunning can be useful. Professionalism is vital. A desire to shine in the world is worth more than a university degree. Promote from within when you can. I recently had to hire a new CEO for one of my companies. An old friend, an ex-CEO and chairman of one of my rivals, Robin Miller, gave me a great piece of advice. He suggested that an external candidate, a candidate from outside the company looking for a senior position, had better be at least 30% better than any internal candidate to get the job. Why? Because he reminded me, you know all the faults of an internal candidate. They may have worked for you for years. But external candidates come to you free from errors made in the past. Don't leave senior employees in any job for too long. If this happens, as it has in my companies occasionally, it means you are not focusing on that business. You will get the most out of any senior employee in their first year or two in a new position. After that, they enter a comfort zone. Do you really want them to be comfortable? If a man or woman heads up one of your companies and has been there too long, consider asking them to create a new division or company for you. But do not leave them to quietly go to sea. They will get bored and resign anyway if they're any good. Time is better than money. If you are young and listen to this, then I ask you to remember just this. You are richer than anyone older than you, and far richer than those who are much older. What you choose to do with the time that stretches out before you is entirely a matter for you. But do not say you started the journey poor. If you are young, you are infinitely richer than I can ever be again. Money is never on. It is only in your custody for a while. Time is always running on, and the young have more of it in their pocket than the richest man or woman alive. That is not sentimentality speaking. That is a sober fact. This next concept is really important. You have to cut loose from everybody to get rich. There isn't any other way. Firstly, of course, you must break loose from your parents' and family home. It's possible to get rich from your bedroom while your mother is ironing your shirt or blouse downstairs, I suppose. But it's unlikely. But I am suggesting that you must cut loose, in your mind, from your previous life. Getting rich comes from an attitude of mind. It isn't going to happen if things drift on pretty much the way they are right now. It is because you have humiliated them, in their minds anyway, both by succeeding and by valuing the time it took for you to succeed over their part in your life. And that, in a nutshell, is why it is so important to cut loose, especially in the early days. The world is full of money is another important concept. Let's imagine your money is in a mine in a mountain. Fine. Which mountain? The mountain that is already making a lot of other people rich would be a good bet. Gold rushes don't happen in old mines. There will be people making a good living out of old mines, but they won't be too keen to let you muscle in on their stake. Look for new mountains where gold is being mined, or will be mined soon. Let us speak plainly. This is not the time to begin a chain of car dealerships. Car dealerships are great, but it's an old mine. Don't go there unless you have a brand new angle. Making and distributing beer is an old mine. Unless you have a new angle like real ale, then that's a mountain to avoid. Of course, if you're really imaginative, you can often come up with such an angle. You see, you have to choose a new mine where you suspect there is money, or an old mine with a different angle to get rich. The right mountain. A great new mine right now is in telecommunications, or the internet, or legalized gambling. Property is always good. You can start small in property, and you can get lucky quickly. It's a crowded market, though, for that very reason. Don't do anything because you feel you have to. Go for what attracts you. Go for something that exploits your natural talents. Go to the mountain which produces money. Money that has your name on it. Fear nothing, the most important. Fear nothing. Another easy to say and impossible piece of advice. Tough luck, chump. Life's a bitch and then you die. Get used to it. It isn't going to change anytime soon. What is there to fear? Everything and nothing. Try looking at it through my eyes. I am an insignificant little worm on an insignificant planet that circles an insignificant star in a big, presumably bad universe. A universe I will never comprehend, nor can ever hope to comprehend. Just like everything that walks, breathes, grows, flies, crawls, or swims, I am going to die. One day, my planet will die. Long, long after, the sun it still circles as a dead rock will die. Then there will be darkness on the face of the earth. That is, there would be darkness if there was any creature alive to view it. Armies and governments fear men or women who know they are going to die soon. And they have good reason to. Such people have nothing to lose. They will commit any atrocity and take as many others with them as they can, if they are driven to it. You must now become that doomed man or woman. You are going to die. Nothing can alter the fact. It is immutable, incomprehensible, unfair, all those things. But it sets you free, don't you see? It sets you free. What does anything matter if you are going to die? Nothing matters. Nothing at all. Get that through your terrified mind, and you will wake up in the morning ready to rip the throat out of the first gazelle unfortunate enough to cross your path. Why would you rip its throat out? Because you can. Not for breakfast. Not for the thrill of the chase. But because you can. If you want to be rich, you must make a pact with yourself about fear of anything. You cannot banish fear, but you can face it down, stomp on it, crush it, bury it, padlock it into the deepest recesses of your heart and soul, and leave it there to rot. Just try. Try for just a single day, a whole day, when you refuse to acknowledge the fear of failure, fear of making yourself look like an idiot, fear of losing your lover, fear of losing your job, fear of your boss, fear of anything and of any kind. Fear will creep back, usually at 3 in the morning. Laugh at it and tell it to take a hike. Smash it in the teeth. Spit on it. Put your arms around it and make nicey-nicey. Then slip a sharp blade into its stinking throat just as you're French kissing it. Go on. I dare you. You can do it. This will transform your life. Not for the better. I didn't promise you that. But you will instantly perceive among many other tilings just how much money there is in the world and how pitifully easy it is to obtain it. Money that already has your name on it. All that is stopping you is fear. I do not know of what kind. It may even be fear of succeeding. But if you want to be rich, gentle reader, and if you can read these words, then all that is stopping you is fear of one kind or another. You have no one to blame but yourself. The world is full of gazelles with diamonds in their guts. Look, there's one over there right now. Let's go rip its throat out and take the diamond. Maybe there will be 2 diamonds. If there isn't, then I'm keeping the first diamond. You understand? Otherwise, I'll rip your throat out, too. Come on. There's nothing to fear. Let's get rich. That is what getting rich is going to be like. You will become a predator. This will make no difference to an insignificant worm on an insignificant planet circling an insignificant star. No difference whatever. Nothing can hold back the coming dark. Nothing can alter the fact that you will cease one day to breathe and think. Nothing can amend the truth that within a few million circlings of a rock around a dying sun, there will remain no trace of you, your tribe, your race, or your diamonds. Nothing can alter that. But just for a moment, just for one moment, you understand. Just for a heartbeat in the life of the planet, one little worm, who thinks he is a tiger, will be rich. It is fear that rules us. Love and respect and other such emotions make it bearable, at a price. But fear rules us all, and always has, which is odd. Because what can there be for us to fear, when each of us knows we shall die eventually? Is it a definition of sentience? To be rich, if that is still your desire, you must somehow learn to harness fear to your own advantage. Was all that rage and fierceness and drive and stamina rooted in my own fear? Have I used fear as a fuel in the getting of money? Perhaps I have, although I never thought of it that way before. In any case, I'm not certain I want to know. I have never trusted armchair psychiatry. But I do know that you must make an accommodation with your fears if you are to succeed. At least, I know that to be true in my own case. As to how such a trick is to be accomplished, I cannot help you. We each, in turn, must face down our secret demons, if we can, whether we wish to be rich or not. To succeed in the game of piling up material wealth, it becomes a necessity. In the words of the wisest of men, William Shakespeare, present fears are less than horrible imaginings. That they are, William, that they are. Horrible imaginings will rule all our lives if we are fools enough to let them. The 8 secrets to getting rich. Listen carefully to this concept. Analyze your need. Desire is insufficient. Compulsion is mandatory. Cut loose from negative influences. Never give in. Stay the course. Ignore great ideas. Concentrate on great execution. Focus. Keep your eye on the ball. Mark the money is here. Hire talent smarter than you. Delegate. Share the annual pie. Ownership is the real secret. Hold on to every percentage point you can. Sell before you need to, or when bored. Empty your mind when negotiating. Fear nothing and no one. Get rich. Remember to give it all away. The last concept. Go, go, go. It's your time. So many hundreds of millions of dollars to make so little time. What are you waiting for? On your bicycle and pedaling for all you are worth against your only true enemy, time. You have less time than you think. We all do. Why then are you waiting to fulfill your perfectly legitimate, if foolish, desire? If you do not start today, then when will you start? Tomorrow, next year, the year after. You will never start unless you start now, and the time is now. You must take your first steps on the long, lonely road to wealth by beginning now, or you must hurl this book into the fire, or out the window, for all the good it will do you. If an opportunity should arrive just as you are taking your family on vacation, for example, do not weaken. Let the family go on without you or cancel the trip altogether. I can tell you a true story of a man who lost millions and millions of pounds that were his for the taking because he went on vacation. If you wish to get rich, there are no reasons why you should not get rich. None at all. It may well be true, should you succeed, that you will discover you are not as happy as you once believed wealth might make you. But is that a reason for not beginning? Perhaps I will be proved wrong, and you will become rich and as happy as a lark in spring. Who knows? You will never find out if you do not try, and if you do not begin trying now, at least, in many cases. If you want to be rich and you have young children, then do not use them as your alibi for not making the attempt. Or, if you must use their existence as an alibi, then at least have the courtesy, the decency, to acknowledge that such reasoning is nothing but an alibi. Now is the time. Now is the hour. Let's go. Come on, brother and sister, up off your idle butt. Let's find ourselves a gazelle with diamonds in its entrails. Time to go. Let's go. 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 Let's go and get rich. For the end, this is the upside-down pyramid for getting rich. Commit or don't commit. No half measures. 2. Cut loose from all negative influences. Choose the right mountain. Fear nothing. Start now. Go. You have no time to waste, my friend. Go luck on your quest.